chance to hear it, so let her tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina Speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerns. You can hear with some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to
Good evening, Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you, from national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome. Happy Monday. Yes. To our Sabrina Speaks family near and far. It's good to be back with you. And welcome to another episode of Sabrina Speaks. Voices of the Islands, conversations for the world, and the podcast where voices rise, stories unfold, and inspiration takes center stage. I'm Sabrina, and like I said, it's good to be back with you on this fine, fabulous Monday as we wrap up. Can you imagine? We're wrapping up the month of March. Yes. All the guys who are staking out have already marked your spots for Easter. I know the season is coming. We'll be dedicating an entire show for that as well. And it's just amazing how quickly this year is flying by already. 23rd of March, 2026, with everything that is happening. But it's so good to be back with you as we embrace and enter into a new week of March and just giving thanks. Yes, and welcome, as I said, to another live edition coming live to you from the beautiful Cayman Islands on this Monday as we kicking off with, a weekend of conversations, reflection, and I want to hear from you as well. Real stories, yes, that signature Caymanian honesty that we are known for. Getting a little bit louder, getting a little bit more confident, and I am so proud of each and every one of you that continue to support this space and actually find your voice and realize that this is a place for you. But today, yes, we're going to dive in a little bit into the weekend in review and the moments that may have made you laugh. Maybe you caught up with some old friends and family. Yes. Headlines that make you think as well. And things that may have touched our community over the last few days. And as always, this show is just not about talk, It's inclusive. Yes. And it's all about talking with you. So I'm encouraging you all to log on, tune in, jump into the conversation and call me. 345-936-8255 is the number to call and be a part of this live conversation. And we can not only in review, but there was something that came up in a conversation earlier on today and two separate conversations that brought up another segment that I'll be talking about that takes us back pre-pandemic. Yeah. We have been speaking on this space about unintended consequences and that sort of stuff. And sometimes not everything that we're doing in the now will bear fruit immediately. Sometimes it takes a while before you see it. But you got to stick around to know exactly what that is. And I welcome your participation. I also welcome your feedback, give you food for thought. But it was so prominent in the conversations that I had today that it's warranted bringing it up on this episode. But please remember, the content you're about to hear, including any discussions or opinions from myself, guests, and or participants, is intended solely for general, informational, and entertainment purposes. It's not a substitute for professional, legal, medical, or financial advice. So I encourage you to consult with a qualified professional regarding any specific concerns. Bridge Media Limited and all its affiliates disclaims all liability for any decisions or actions taken in reliance on the information presented. Yes, yes, yes. I see you all coming in. It's so good to see you. And I always love when you comment. Of course, share your thoughts below. Let me know exactly where you're watching from. Hey, Gladys. Long Island, New York in the house today. Good to have you. North Carolina as well is in the house. I'll give you your segment, but let's take a quick look at our weather, because I know some of you all up there in New York and wherever else, you wishing you had this kind of weather. But you know what? Before we get into this evening's weather forecast, we want to take a moment to acknowledge World Meteorological Day 2026. Yeah, today they're celebrating that around the world. And it's a day that pretty much celebrates science and people who help communities inform and prepare. And here in the Cayman Islands, we're being a part of it. And we want to just say, you know, we're especially grateful to our dedicated team over there at the Cayman Islands National Weather Service for all of their expertise, their vigilance, their round-the-clock monitoring, play a critical role in our safety here in the Cayman Islands, and especially during so severe weather and hurricane season that is coming up very quickly. We want to say thank you from all of us here on the Sabrina Speaks platform for all you do. This day is recognizing your skills, your passion, your joy for keeping us, and Mr. Tippett and everybody up there, your team. Congratulations. We wish you all the best, and we thank you for your service. Yes, yes, yes. So with that appreciation in mind, let's take a look at tonight's forecast for the Cayman Islands. Compliments of our friends over there at the Cayman Islands National Weather Service. Yes, yes, yes. We can see where, let me just pull it up here. Let me get this. There is going to be the forecast for tonight. Here we go. The synopsis calls for moderate to fresh winds, along with moderate to rough seas are expected across the Cayman areas for the next 24 hours, as a high pressure system remains dominant over the Gulf of Mexico and Western Atlantic Ocean. Now, a small craft advisory remains in effect, and radar imagery shows some showers to the south of Grand Cayman. The forecast for tonight is calling for partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of showers. Temperatures will fall near the mid-70s, and winds will be northeast 10 to 15 knots. Now, seas will be moderate to rough with wave heights of 4 to 6 feet. And tomorrow's forecast calls for partly cloudy skies with 20% chance of showers. Now, temperatures will rise near the mid-80s, with winds will be northeast 10 to 15 knots with higher gusts. Seas will be moderate to rough with wave heights of 4 to 6 feet, and a small craft advisory will remain in effect. There will be a low tide at 6:59 and a high tide at 2:05 a.m. The sun will set this evening at 6:36, and sun will rise tomorrow morning at 6:26. Now, the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Tuesday evening. Can you imagine? Look how time flies. We're all forecasting it straight up to the end of the week already. Yeah. How y'all doing? Welcome, welcome, one and all. Now, guess what? It's time for your evening news that's made it to the Sabrina Speaks segment. And again, thank you for your feedback. I try to find news that's not repetitive, but you know, if it's worthwhile repeating, why not? Let's get straight into the headlines that are making it on the Sabrina Speaks program here for today. Keeping it local, the Cayman Islands government is strengthening national readiness with a new multi-agency emergency training program. Now, the initiative brings together first responders, civil servants, and community partners for coordinated disaster response exercises. Now, officials say the goal is to sharpen communication, improve on-the-ground decision-making, and ensure agencies can operate seamlessly during hurricanes, major accidents, or national threats. The program will roll out in phases this year, reinforcing Cayman's commitment to public safety and resilience. More on local news. The Ministry of Culture is helping keep Cayman's traditions alive Partnering with the Cayman Islands folk singers for a series of performances across Cayman Brac, the group visited seniors at the Kernel Community Center and several local schools, sharing beloved folk songs through music, dance, and storytelling. Now, Ministers Isaac Rankin and Ralston Anklin also joined the outreach, presenting students with books on Cayman's national heroes and national symbols. The folk singers later performed at the Cayman Brac Agriculture Show, where the ministry highlighted its ongoing work to preserve culture and heritage. And that is so badly needed. Keeping it local again. The Cayman Islands is joining the global community in marking World Meteorological Day 2026, highlighting the critical role of weather and climate services in national safety. Now, this year, themes focuses on advancing early warning systems and climate resilience. Local officials say ongoing improvements in forecasting, technology, and regional partnerships are helping Cayman better prepare for severe weather, especially during hurricane season. Now, the day also recognizes the work of the Cayman Islands National Weather Service and its contribution to public awareness and preparedness. Keeping it still on local news, the next phase of the east-west arterial expansion is set to begin in September, marking a major step in the government's long-term plan to ease traffic congestion. Officials say this stage will extend the roadway further east, improving connectivity for commuters traveling between Bordentown, Savannah, and Georgetown. Preparatory works are already underway, and the National Roads Authority is emphasizing safety and minimal disruption during construction. The project remains a key part of Cayman's broader infrastructure strategy. And more out of Cayman. Cayman Airways has returned from the CTO Air Connectivity Summit in Bermuda, where the national flag carrier joined regional leaders to discuss the future of Caribbean aviation. Representing the airline were the president and CEO, Fabian Worms, and executive vice president and CFO, Paul Tibbetts. Key talks focused on route development, expanding airlift, and opening new markets. Officials say these conversations are vital as Cayman Airways continues strengthening regional and international connections, positioning the Cayman Islands for sustained tourism growth. And last but not least, in our local segment here this evening, the Office of the Police Commissioner is inviting friends and colleagues and loved ones to gather in honor of the late Detective Inspector Collins Oromule. The service celebrating his life will be held on Saturday, March 28th at 11 a.m. at Red Bay Church of God Holiness on Lord's Way. Detective Oromule is remembered for his gentle strength and the many lives he touched throughout his service. The OCP says it is deeply saddened by his passing and extends heartfelt condolences and support to his family during this difficult time. Turning our focus right now to regional and international news. St. Kitts and Nevis is making global headlines with major leap in border security, unveiling a next-generation biometric passport upgrade that experts say sets a new international gold standard. The enhanced system features advanced identity verification technology designed to strengthen national security, protect against fraud, and streamline travel for citizens. Regional officials are calling it a model for the Caribbean, positioning St. Kitts and Nevis at the front of digital identity innovation. The upgrade forms a part of the country's wider push toward modern security and global trusted travel documents. Also in news within the region, a bun eating competition in Christiana, Manchester ended in tragedy on Saturday after a participant choked and later died. Police say the man struggled to breathe after a piece of bun became lodged in his throat. He was rushed to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Superintendent Carrie Duncan confirming the incident occurred during a promotional event, though the victim's identity has not been released at this time. It's unclear whether first aid measures, such as the Heimlich maneuver, were attempted. And medical experts note that choking is a major risk in speed eating contests. More in our region, international, United Airlines is cutting flights as soaring fuel price linked to the ongoing conflict in Iran continue to drive up operating costs. Now, the airline is the first major U.S. carrier to announce reductions since the war began, saying the spike in global oil prices has made several routes unsustainable in the short term. United has not yet detailed which destinations will be affected, but officials say they're monitoring conditions closely and will adjust schedules as needed. Other airlines are expected to review their operations as fuel volatility continues. Now, we're also following a developing story coming out of Colombia this evening, where a Colombian Air Force plane carrying 125 persons has crashed. Shortly after takeoff in the country's southern Amazon region, military officials confirmed that 71 people have been rescued, though the full extent of injuries and casualties is still being assessed. Search and rescue teams are working deep in remote terrain as authorities race to account for the remaining passengers. Now, we'll continue to monitor the story and bring updates as they become available. Now, drivers on Weird News making our news update today. And I thought I would share this with you despite everything that's happening around us. Let me just get the image here so that I love to give context. Drivers on I-4 near Plant City got quite a surprise this weekend when deputies pulled over a truck carrying what appeared to be missiles mounted on its back. The sight quickly drew attention on social media, but officials say the devices were decommissioned military replicas being transported legally. The driver cooperated with law enforcement, and no threat to the public was reported. Authorities say the stop was made out of caution, given the unusual appearance of the equipment. And last but not least, on today's edition of Sabrina Speaks News Headlines, a Canadian student is gaining global recognition for a breakthrough in sustainable technology. Anne Malinowski has invented a flashlight powered entirely by body heat. Now, the device uses thermoelectric technology to convert the temperature difference between a person's hand and the surrounding air in between energy of a LED bulb. Malinowski created the hollow flashlight to help communities without reliable electricity, offering a simple battery-free source of light. Now, the innovation won the 2013 Google Science Fair, highlighting how young inventors can tackle real-world challenges through creativity and environmental awareness. Now, that concludes this evening news for local, regional, and international right here on Sabrina Speaks. Welcome one and all to everyone who's just joining us. And if you are just here for the first time, 345-936-8255 is the number to call in and be a part of this lively discussion. Welcome to you. And we love for you to like, share, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss another episode. But you know what? Tell your friends we're live here on Sabrina Speaks. Connie Bonnie's in the house. Good afternoon. How are you, my sweet? Hope you had a wonderful weekend. Did you go and take up Red Sky at night? How was that for you? Share your comments if you saw friends out there this weekend. Did you have a good time? Want to know what it's like? Yeah. I'm getting some images back. Personally, I didn't make it out. Nope. But I'm hearing and I'm seeing based on some pictures that were shared that people had a whale of a time. Good for you all that went out there. There's so much going on this weekend between that and the agriculture show in the BRAC. Oh my gosh, what a busy, busy weekend as we ease on into the Easter festivities as well. Yep. Hey, Andrew, how you doing? Good evening to you, my friend. I want to share this one with you. Yeah, the summer intern program. You got to be aware of this. The application process for this ends on the 31st of March. So for any young person, the Cayman Islands government summer internship program is going to be the deadline to apply for that. If you want to see what it's like working for a government, you want to give a chance to that, please, please, please. You got until the 31st of March to register your interest and apply for it as well. Also, 30th of April, the Legal Government Scholarships, creating higher education opportunities for Caymanians. You can definitely go on to the Ministry of Education and Training for your application, and the deadline for those is April 30th. Also taking place, this was a reschedule, remember, that taking place this Thursday, March 26th, and East End at 1:30, the groundbreaking ceremony. The Honorable Isaac Rankin is inviting people to this groundbreaking ceremony of the George Dixon Park in East End. It was postponed. It was supposed to have happened last week, Thursday, but it's now pushed to this Thursday at 1:30. So if you couldn't make it then, remember, it has been pushed to now. So that's happening this Thursday. Yeah. Marshall's in the house. Hello, hello, hello. Yes. And Ms. Gladys is joining us, as I said earlier on, from Long Island, New York. Valerie, hi, happy Monday to you. Let us start this week with faith. You are so right. I live by that. That's my foundation, Valerie. Trust me. Faith. Damian Henry's in the house. Happy Monday to you. Happiness is found when you stop comparing yourself to other people. You know, that's true. Be yourself. Hey, Amber Richards. Has a kitten been saved? You know, I saw that on Mile Road. I don't know. Amber, if anybody actually took the kitten, but it's a cutie. It's a cutie pie, isn't it? Yeah, I saw that posted on Mile Road. I'm not sure. I'll have to message Sandra to see if she got any feedback on that. But yeah, cutie pie for those who are out there with cat lovers. It's a sweet little kitten. Andrew is here. Yes, good afternoon. Blessed Monday to you as well. Big wave to you, my friend Jimbo. And to everybody, Connie, that includes you. Connie, that includes you as well. Yeah, it's good to be back with you, as I said. I know a lot of you are actually looking forward to the Easter weekend and probably making your plans as to whether or not you're going to be traveling or whether or not you're going to stay here. And if you are if you're going to stay here, you're probably deciding whether or not you're going to just going to invite family and friends over for the long weekend and fry up, cook up, or traditionally, we camp. You mark out your place on the beach and you actually go to a spot. You probably mark that spot or those spots already, and you're going to be doing it. I'm seeing all of the specials online from the various supermarkets and hardware stores about getting your camping gear. And I thought it was quite funny, to be honest. One with a generator, which we understand the amenities that we need and all that good stuff. But what our camping here is camping on steroids, and I admire it. That's what makes us unique. And it's not gathering sticks and creating a caboose and all that sort of stuff. Some people literally take their stoves out there, and that's amazing when you go out there to see the setup of some of these places. And for the amount of preparation that it takes and to set up these campsites to give you the comforts pretty much of home, but yet you're doing it outside. It's just amazing. The planning, the whole strategy of execution, and then yes, all good things must come to an end. But I will dedicate one show exactly for that leading up to the holiday weekends, because a lot of people don't understand it, and especially for those who may be new to our country and see where we're having all of these people pitching tents and that sort of stuff along our shores, and you're seeing signs, no trespassing and all that sort of stuff, when this is a tradition. We see where the ongoing ask of fighting for our right of ways for beach access and all that sort of stuff. And here, right on our doorsteps, we are celebrating Easter and all of that. And people may not be aware that this is a long-standing tradition. Yes, it's the one time of the year where we will have some families camp out as long as a week, and that's acceptable. But a lot of persons don't understand it, and we have had those now who have joined us here and have been a part of, are being a part of our society, as well as is catching on to this tradition. And I am proud that we have kept it up. But I will dedicate an entire show for that, so that we reinforce that this is not squatters, so to speak, that this is a tradition that is known for us here in the Cayman Islands. And don't get it wrong, don't get it mixed up. And it's out of respect that if there's one time during a year that our locals are given this access to use the beach and to do this, it is during Easter. And yes, I see the comment, the importance of keeping the surroundings clean, keep the tradition, just clean up after yourselves. Yes, yes, yes. And that has been a big PR and a push. You make sure you get the right receptacles. I'm quite sure if you reach out to the director of DEH right now and you have your spots already marked out with ample time and notice, I am quite sure, not speaking on behalf of the director, but I am quite sure if it is possible, they would be able to provide those drums so that you could have something proper for you to dispose of your trash. Outside of that, you can get the heavy duty, like those construction grade black garbage bags that can hold a lot of the garbage. So you're not tossing away your garbage in a lighter grade material to dispose of your trash. That is key, because for years as well, we have seen where spots have been left in unsanitary conditions and the cleanup is just a disaster afterwards. So if this is who we are as Caymanian, we're pushing this whole tradition of, marking your spot, your territory each year. Please, please, please remember to clean up after yourself. Because if this is our tradition, this is who we are, leaving your place very nasty, it's also sending a message about us as well. So this is a drive, this is a push, but I will do another show on this to go back in history as to where this came from, share stories, and I welcome you to share yours as well with us. But the key thing, thanks Jim for doing that, for reminding us the important thing of cleaning up after yourself. And if you're going to throw away like charcoal, that sort of stuff, make sure that it's properly out and you don't just leave it there and it smolders and then it becomes an issue or a fire takes place afterwards. These are safety checks. And I see the fire department as well has gotten out some PR stuff on grease fires and that sort of stuff. I'm quite sure they will be doing a lot more PR as we get closer into the Easter season. Now, people are also conscious of what's happening around the world with travel. We're seeing where in the United States are now as well being placed at airports because of what's happening there. With TSA agents calling out sick because they're not being paid. And now in order to keep traffic or passengers going through these high demand airports, they're using ICE agents, which for the record, from what I'm seeing on media, they're not allowed to be in these airports and not have on masks. So they're fully identifiable. I see the vest and you see police, ICE on them. They're labeled, but what's interesting, in the event you're all traveling and this hasn't abated any, hasn't eased up any over the holidays, you're being asked to go to the airport as much as 4 to 5 hours ahead of your scheduled flight. Yes, at least 4 to 5 hours before your flight is departing. And that's really to try and maneuver through security checkpoints and you're not disappointed because you miss your flight. So this is a warning that if you're traveling, that you should actually try to head to the airport 5 hours before your scheduled time so that you could just get through all the security checkpoints and you not one who have to miss your flight. So these are key things as well that you need to keep in mind if you're going to travel this holiday, and also be aware that of what's happening. You don't want to end up going on a nice holiday and getting stuck for whatever reason. So these are all the things now that you should be thinking of if you're going to be traveling. Yeah. But for those of us who are for those of you just joining, love seeing this happening during the Easter weekend, says Jimbo. Yes, I like it too. I'm not a camper. I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm not one that likes to leave the comforts of my home to go in the bush, to sleep in a tent if I don't have to. I would prefer to visit friends and family. I would prefer to go and play some dominoes, find a hammock. But for me to say, just go out for 4 days and sleep, I never did well at all when it came, not even as a child. Yeah. Thank you, my friend. I got some information that are coming out here. Hold on, let me try to see if I can get this. A WhatsApper is just sharing with me, and this is what I love about this space. Thank you very much. How are you? Hope you had a good weekend, my friend. Headlines coming out of the US. A measles outbreak in Florida is simmering, but we know almost nothing about it. We want to investigate. Oh, this is a headline news about measles outbreak. We're seeing, yeah. All right, I'll look into that and cover that. Thank you for sharing that headlines with me. Should you see anything else that's also interesting, by all means, share it with me. I'll definitely cover it. Hey, Donnie, how you doing? Are you looking forward to the Easter? Are you going to be here or are you going away? Are you going to crash somebody's campsite and eat their fish and fritters? Thank you very much. I hope you had a good weekend. But yeah, it's good to be back with you. So we're going to do an entire show on Easter coming up, right? Hint, hint. And we're going to do it Sabrina's style. We could do it our way because you guys make it all worthwhile. But you know, I was having a conversation today, and at the end of the day, something came up in the conversation that jolted me. I could be honest with you. It really took me back to a while. And you know, something that stays with you, but then it sparks up in a conversation that it was unsolicited. It just came up. Not loud, not dramatic at all. Just one of those quiet truths that kind of makes you pause. And in two separate conversations, it really made me think. And I recall it goes back to reminiscing about everything that people are saying right now, understanding what's happening geopolitically, life as a whole. And then you think back pre-pandemic. Yeah, it's that far back. You think back when you hear people saying now, Cayman is not for us. I don't feel like I belong. Things have changed. It's not for me. We're outpriced. I don't think I feel a part. It's like I don't connect with my own home. I don't feel like I'm a part. But then it came to mind, if I can jog your memories to go back this far, and please don't misread exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to show you at the end of the day, possible unintended consequences, right? Could it be that right now what we're going through or what right now is coming to surface is an impact of things that probably happened as far back as 2017? And when I think of that, I had to really pause, even though I said it, and I said it back then when certain things were happening. But of course, things and times were different, right? When you look back, I want to jog your memories a little bit. 2017 was a year of massive change here for us in Cayman. Yes. If you remember quite well, we were being marketed internationally in ways that we've never been before. It was almost like we were at a sweet spot. And of course, 2017, 2018, around that time, maybe a little bit earlier as well. But think back, 2016 too. We were being marketed around the world. We were being marketed to Europe, the Middle East. And one place stuck out was Morocco. Yes, long haul luxury markets were where we were being marketed. And Cayman, to be honest with those PRs, was being positioned as a premium, exclusive destination back then. But here's the thing, now that we're talking, and here we are in 2026, not blaming anything on pandemic, but that was outright a pause, to be honest. That was a pause. But it didn't stop the seed that was already being planted, the investments that were made of how this destination was marketed. And then you look at how we handled the pandemic when jurisdictions regionally, internationally, were pretty much confined to their spaces. We were in a bubble, moving around freely at one point. It's like we were like the only place on the planet that were like immune from what was going on. But stick with me, because we're still going back to 2017. But here's the thing. Most of us didn't fully process what that meant at that time. Life was happening. Yeah, bills were due. We were able to pay them. Kids were in school. We were just trying to keep up. And yes, the pandemic hit. Everything froze. Our focus was shifted more survival and safety and stability. And so a lot of the bigger changes that were happening were still pretty much underneath, right? And we didn't even have the mental space or I would say the emotional bandwidth or clarity to see them at that time, right? But now we have recovered from the pandemic. We're trying to find back our feet. We see what's happening global. We see the emotional, toll that it has taken, everything compiling on it, on one thing. We rebuild. We have redefined ourselves in a way that really catapulted us to even get more attention on our jurisdiction. Think back to 2017. And is it that we are really now seeing and feeling the delayed impact of decisions made nearly a decade ago? Think back, if your memory serves you well. Because remember, there was a tourism strategy. And when we do these strategies, they don't show up overnight, When we look at even investment patterns, they too do not show up overnight. And even with the cultural shifts, they too don't show up overnight. So, as I spoke and we exchanged, these things, bottom line, takes years, sometimes 5, 7, 10, before you see the full effect. Yeah? And that it will reach your people, your society, your quality of life. And now we're in 2026. And many of us are saying exactly what I said before. I don't feel part of my own home. I don't even recognize Cayman that I grew up in. How much times have you heard that? You're seeing the infrastructure that we're putting in, not telling you that we're not needing it. Yes, we do. We need it. We've heard our own say, I feel like this country is changing. Oh my gosh, I blinked and it has just changed right before me. So I welcome your participation, you to weigh in on this. And I want to at least try to open the conversation up to you. Please don't misread it. We're not to blame, not to divide, and definitely it is all about trying to understand, trying to comprehend, and trying to link it. Because we say unintended consequences, residual impact, residual effect. But maybe I thought that this is coming to bear fruit in 2026, given the fact that the world went through a pandemic as well. But it didn't change what was already started. And hence the question, do you think Cayman is only now feeling the long-term effects of that 2017 push? Yes. Miss the signs at all? Because to be honest with you, life is moving fast and it's waiting on no one. And yes, the pandemic distracted us from the deeper shifts that's happening beneath the surface. Yeah. But most importantly, are we finally waking up to the impact of growth that we didn't always saw inclusive of everyone? Let me bring it home to reality. When you are marketing a jurisdiction like ours, in places like Morocco, for example, that type of personnel clientele is not going to be your typical Joe that visits the mom and pops along Marriage Street and Shedden Road. Just let me be real. Just let me be real, okay? Did we get it wrong at that time? Maybe the pandemic slowed it down. But then may that have sparked new investors that are here now and investing in things that we ourselves as degular people did not even realize we attracted because of the way we were marketed and where we were being marketed as far back as 2017. Remember, there is no laws that stops any foreign investor coming here, investing in property, doing business as long as they meet the credentials and the requirements, partnership maybe, an LCCL, we don't know. We would have to go into that. But this came about, and that's why it's a part of today's segment. It came about because I wanted to jog your memory. If you all remember that. These are not people and their cultures, and I got some stats as well, that would be hiring your typical domestic helper. No, they don't hire nannies. People from this region, they hire au pairs. Just let me get it real. And as an example is shared with me today, they're not going to walk into your typical salon. They're going to want that blow drying service in their suite. Yeah. Did we miss it? Did we miss something back then because we were all going along our merry way? And in us actually moving at that pace, we didn't realize how much of our population would have been excluded from that and those types of individuals within that sphere of where we were marketing. It's a high-end, luxurious clientele over there. But does it truly align with who we are that wouldn't disenfranchise or marginalize a larger portion of our society than we even envisioned? Yeah. And this is why some of the questions are coming out. Who is or was Cayman built for? Yeah. Yes. When you look back, and for you to just put it into perspective, back in 2017, and I pulled up some stats here, we were overseas marketing this country like you would not believe. Yes, as I said, places like Morocco, go and Google it yourself. These are high-end destinations. And at the same time, our tourism numbers at that time, not seeing the true effects of results from it as yet, the tourism hit record numbers then as well. Yes. 418,403 stay-over visitors from one of my sites that I got stats from visited Cayman in 2017. 419,000 stay over. That's not cruise. 2017, the highest ever recorded at that time. 419,000 stay over tourists. And then cruise arrivals at that time also hit 1.7 million visitors. Please bear in mind, I'm going back in history of 2017. It was a boom year for us, and one that we were proud of. But it was also a turning point for the Cayman Islands. Yes, because while we were being promoted over in that part of the world as a luxury private paradise, many of our very own Caymanians were asking the same question that we're asking now today. But who are we building all of this for? You saw the boom. Where do I fit in this new version of Cayman that's basically changing before our eyes, right? And even some were asking, are we a part of the story? So it is what it is. We were marketing heavily to high income markets. And with stay-over arrivals growing by 8.55% over 2016. At the end of the day, this wasn't wrong at the time. It was a business strategy. But would you say that this strategy possibly had consequences that we never foresee coming, that it would have actually put a bunch of our society, a big sector of our society, on the back foot? What would you think about that? Do you remember when we started feeling different? That's the question that I want to ask you. Like, really, really, do you remember? I know there's a blur after the pandemic, but can you think back when we really heard that come out of our mouths a little bit more? When did Cayman really started feeling different? Pause on the pandemic. I'm just trying to see if I can jog your memory. Did you feel included in the growth at that time? Or did it feel like it was happening around you and you just couldn't? I want to jog your memories. I want to jog your memories there. Because when I look back and the information that I found, it started in and around 16 to 18. And then what slowed it down was really the pandemic. But it didn't mean that the seeds weren't already sowed there. You understand? Because we were still started, it just froze for a little bit because all of this preparatory work had already started in 2016, 2017. Yeah. So I'm feeling, based on the whole conversation, that we took a different turn, that not everyone was included, even though it was probably all good intentions. The reality is the service base that we have here did not equip for the clientele that we were marketing to. And therefore, a lot of our people felt excluded, felt not good enough, felt like they weren't even consulted properly. Because if you weren't in a certain tier of offering services, then guess what? You were left to survive on your own. Yeah. When you look at the destination in itself, Morocco, it's large, it's huge. It's an ancient nation that is deep, it's steeped in cultural infrastructure, right? And as a small island development jurisdiction that the Cayman Islands is, with limited land, limited population, and yes, a very fragile cultural ecosystem that we are fighting daily to try and preserve. Then we had a population of 70,000. Morocco, 37 million people. Yeah, when you do the comparison. Them, Morocco, thousands of years of cultural continuity. For Cayman, culturally, only a few generations old. Yeah. When you even look at Morocco's landmass, huge. What are we? 3 small islands. And in comparison to them, Morocco, strong domestic economy versus ours here in the Cayman Islands, highly, highly dependent on financial services and tourism. So I can understand the connect. And when you do the comparison of that jurisdiction, culture in Morocco is dominant and unshakable. That's one thing you can say about them with my little digging that I did. Versus us here, culture is vulnerable and easily overshadowed. And that's what we're fighting. So when that happened, and we marketed ourselves in these regions there and then with all of this massive cultural depth and luxury expectations and high density populations, we were involving people whose lifestyle norms didn't match the realities of us. But it didn't stop them from seeing the investment opportunities here. And who you think they were thinking of, the little mom and pop? Oh, no. No. Can you blame them? No. And there was nothing wrong with it, you know. It was just misaligned. I cannot, again, no fault, no pointing of the fingers. It was just a misalignment at the time. So I throw this question out there because the phone lines are open, and I welcome your comments as well below. Do you think that Cayman's culture, this is a general question, do you think that the Cayman's culture is strong enough to withstand these global influences, understanding the seeds that we had sowed, understanding how we marketed ourselves? Maybe we didn't really understand the impacts that it would have. And what do you feel? What parts of our Caymanian identity you feel right now is most at risk? I would love to get your feedback on that. What parts of Caymanian's identity do you feel most right now is at risk? I've given you context. I've given you history. This is not casting blame. It is sharing of information and give you food for thought. That possibly there is a real possibility that the disconnect our people are feeling in 2026 started back as far back as you can literally identify it, or become more pronounced, more prominent in 2017 when we were being marketed as a very, very luxurious destination in the Caribbean, and this is our financial market, this is how we look, and all of that sort of stuff, not realizing the unintended consequences it would have to the everyday people who we admit small, medium-sized businesses are the backbone of the economy. And this is why possibly certain sectors so really they're feeling these impacts, and they're feeling it hard. And at the end of the day, these are things that I wanted to give you food for thought this evening, hence me asking these questions. Let me go to some of the comments that are here. Miss Dorothy, how are you? So good to have you here. Live happy. Yes, we miss it. Those are not for Cayman. Okay, I didn't get that one. Live happy. Good for you. Did we really need certain infrastructure? What caused the need for certain infrastructure like roads? Because I guess it's keeping up with all of the plans that were already approved. Live happy. When you pass all of these infrastructure and planning and all this sort of stuff, and these developers want to develop these spaces, they're not thinking about the infrastructure surrounding it. Once the plan is approved, that responsibility then is left on your government, from drainage to roads to all that sort of stuff. And this is why you have representation on these planning boards and so forth from all sectors to weigh in, to give recommendations before making a final decision. But then if it is not clear that developers, for example, building these big developments and all that sort of stuff, partners then with the government, whose responsibility is it to actually put in the necessary infrastructure, like wastewater runoff management, drainage, road infrastructure? You can't tell a developer to wait until government fixes a road or decide how they're going to do it before they do the development. Guess what? Once they got the green light to go on their plans, they're going to do what it takes to develop. Yeah. So should we be looking at land legislation a little differently then? And then maybe there's a private-public partnership? Or should it just be born solely on the developers to put in certain infrastructure? That's another question. Capitalism is a new religion. They laugh at religious people, but themselves, they identify with greed and decadence. Good to have you here. Welcome. Keith Arrett says, the government's marketing plan is focused on the rich, and they are the people who are buying most of the land, and very soon will not be any land for us Caymanians to buy. And this is why I went back with a little bit of history, Keith Orrick, to be honest with you. And thank you for your comment, because I wanted to jog our memories to see that. I said it more than once there and then, when I looked at where we were going to market and how we were being marketed, and I said something is not connecting because of the very standard in which those people were looking. And not to say that we're a lower standard, but exactly what we're feeling today is why I think my mind went there. Hindsight is 2020, Keith, to be honest. And I'm wondering, I'm just being brutally honest now. I'm wondering if this is the connect that people were feeling, and we're still feeling the effects of 2017. Hence, the conversation came up today. Because people are saying the things, they are making these statements like we've changed, something has changed. And then it pushes us back to what type of persons have we attracted here? What has changed and who has come here just before and immediately after the pandemic? Yes. And it goes back to that huge marketing drive that we did. You do not see everything come to the surface immediately. Sometimes these things take years, decades to come to fruition, to bear fruit. And I'm wondering if this is actually what we're feeling today. Because when you look at the growth, then the question comes, who's benefiting? Who's benefited from the growth right now? Because if it's only a certain sector, then dissect that a little bit more to see what sectors are benefiting. If it's only one sector, based on the services, what type of level of services, even if it's service-based, it's a certain tier, that answers your question. Because a barbershop as an executive versus a mom and pop, two different things. Who's really benefiting? But yet, everyone is somewhat making money. But who really is benefiting? Yeah. Live Happy says, we advertise to the wrong people. We advertise to people who don't want justification. We advertise to people who wants to purchase the islands and they have the money to do so. Yes. I'm glad you're pointing that out, which is actually answering the questions that I posed to Live Happy. And thank you for your comment. Jim says, the Caymanian's identity is being lost. What can we do to keep it? Where do we start? Because if we're feeling in 2026, the impacts of, let's say, a campaign of 2017, how can we identify these things a little quicker and slow it down, change trajectory, instead of just making it unfold for whatever deep down in our guts is telling us something is not right? Because when we compare then versus now, of course, with everything that's happening geopolitically right now, the 2017 boom was driven mostly, at that time, listen to me, the 2017 boom was mostly driven by the US and Canadian visitors at the time. With, based on this that I got, with growth rates of 13.44%. and 6.37%, respectively. So if that was driven mostly by the US and Canada in 2017, COVID came. Here we have now how much government since then, and now this present government in US, global, you see the leaders. At the end of the day, many have changed, but it still doesn't answer or change or steer who we attracted here from 2017 because of where we were marketing. And at the time, our marketing strategy leaned heavily, if you doubt me, go back and look at it for yourself, towards luxury tourism. And that, my friends, tends to benefit larger hotels, high-end restaurants, international brands. And guess what comes along with that, my friend that called in on Friday? Foreign-owned tour operators. Yes. So you see where it's coming all around? And you see, just from what I shared with you, why certain sectors, even though we're booming, not everyone is benefiting from the boom, so to speak. So where then are the mom and pop shops? Yeah. The local artisans as well. Yeah. And even those Caymanian owned guest house, because remember now, Airbnb popped into the market as well. Yeah. Those small food vendors, where are they in all of this? And even cultural performers, you're more looked at as entertainment more than really appreciating our culture. That's a form of entertainment because of how we were marketed. Let me repeat. It may not have been this type of consequence that we were looking for, but it's definitely become a reality that it isn't in favor of everyone right now. Yes. And I deliberately pointed out these things to prove one thing, that many of these were not centered on the strategy trajectory. Hence, we're feeling and totally dependent then on the local market and not necessarily who we were actually marketing to. Yeah. So another question that I'll put out there to get your comments on, and please feel free to comment below. And if you want to call in and weigh in, of course, 345-936-8255. Did small Caymanian benefits really benefited from this tourism boom? What's your thought on that? Remember, I'm jogging you for something of 2017. Yeah. What's your take on that? When Jesus Christ will come back, reclaiming his kingdom, all our money and assets will be useless. You're quite right. But until then, he says we help those who help themselves as well, and we got to survive. Live Happy says the best advertisement is being low key. Go back to the 1980s tourism campaign. Those who know us love us. Yep, Live Happy. That's true. Simple. But then that depicted a lot of our people looking like us. Go back and Google advertisement campaign, Cayman Islands 2017, and tell me if that even aligns Live Happy with the average Joe throwing a fishing line out on the waterfront. Yeah. And a big pot of fried goggle eyes, if you can even get them, or a nice plate of turtle stew with pink potato salad, and even our folk singers. Try to do the comparison of the campaigns that aligns with who we are, what we look like, feel like us versus then, because of the type of persons we were marketing. Not to say that we are not making ourselves attracted to all net worths of people, but you have to be honest with yourself when you go into a certain market that their cultures should feel similar to who we are. And I keep using this example. People from those regions of the world, they do not hire domestic helpers. They hire, especially if they have a young family, au pairs. Google it. The qualifications that you have or would be required as an au pair is totally different than a nanny or a regular domestic helper. Many of these au pairs speak multiple languages. They literally have qualifications. And I deliberately use that as an example to give you an idea, an example, not putting these people down, of the very type of individuals we were marketing to. Yes. Lisa, what percentage of the population is actually Caymanian? I stand to be corrected, but right now, Caymanian is in generational Caymanian without including Caymanian status holders. It's around 17% of our overall population. If you look at that population now, inclusive of those who have acquired Caymanian status, it's a little under 50% and growing. So it's a little difficult just to answer that straight up. So yeah, if you're just looking at Indigenous, our population nationally is really low. It's under the 20% right now, and I stand to be corrected, but I'm looking out for the latest stats from the ESO. And I'm hoping that the next one that they actually put out, if it's possible, that it will show Caymanian is Caymanian as the definition, but now we're actually fighting for immigration reform to have it identified who's generational, and there's a definition for that, and who is Caymanian by way of acquisition, citizenship, status through marriage, or just being here a length of time. So it is going to be very interesting once the data reveals itself, the true population. But the number that I'm hearing, Lisa, right now is about 17%. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Sabrina Speaks. You're live. What's on your mind?
Good evening. I wasn't going to call in, but
Why not?
once you
You're
started,
overdue. You and Dan is overdue.
once you started to touch on real estate, that kind of got my throat biting.
Mm-hmm.
But just to go back to it, and I'm very familiar actually with the 27 campaign and the big push that we had for ultra high net worth individuals. I think is what it was reached at. So
Right.
I mean, we did intend. So I think it was around then 16, 17. We intensified our marketing efforts, DOT, to attract ultra high net worth individuals. Trying to kind of position ourselves and secure ourselves as a premier destination, not just for luxurious living, but for financial services. And particularly, one that I didn't hear you speak about was exclusive real estate investment. Again, there are no restrictions in this country on foreign ownership.
I did
They're
mention
not.
it, but not in great detail. I said there was nothing to stopping these
Yeah.
people from coming to invest because
Okay.
we don't have anything that blocks them from investing.
Fair enough.
Mhm.
I think the strategy, like you said, albeit we may have not seen it or we don't think we've seen it, but it's been happening for a while, slowly but surely. It's been trickling in, and what they talk about one cocoa for a basket.
Mhm.
The strategy succeeded. It attracted the necessary significant foreign capital that it needed, but it also produced a significant amount of unintended consequences,
Mhm.
particularly, in my opinion, in the real estate market. And like you said, more broader the cultural landscape.
Mhm.
I think from an economic perspective, real estate market operators, just on the principle of supply and demand,
Mhm.
benefited. But the influx of, let's just say, high net worth individuals and ultra high net worth individuals, buyers, these persons were primarily purchasing high end property and super luxurious properties. But that has also driven the demand for those things up significantly,
Mhm.
right? And although these purchases are concentrated in, I would say, from a real estate perspective, in the luxury department, I air quote department, the luxury sector of that thing, the impact of that is not isolated. And I think that that's where we have kind of missed the mark. Siobhan ain't buying the $12 million condo on Mad Beach, so what are you worried about? He wasn't catering to her anyway,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And although that may be the case, the rising cost of real estate, they create a ripple effect across the entire market. And Sabrina's house next door to me sells for $1 million. What do you think it's going to do to my $500,000 house? It's going to increase the value.
Value.
Now that is good and bad. Developers are motivated by higher returns. They increasingly prioritize luxury development over affordable housing.
Mhm.
That overdevelopment, or I would say overdevelopment, or that prioritization toward luxury development versus affordable housing, it restricts the supply for middle and lower income residents.
Yes.
That is then pushed for the government to kind of handle, when it could have and should have been, in my opinion, a private-public partnership. Anyway, that be the case, but one of the key, in my opinion, unintended consequences of the strategy is the distortion of the housing market. Land values increased and construction resources were diverted toward high-end projects. The cost of building and purchasing homes, they rose universally. So, a man building a house in South Sound, and there's a greater need for lumber, that impacts Siobhan building a modest 2-bedroom house in boondocks of West Bay. Even modest homes become, like I said, more expensive, not specifically because of direct competition with the ultra high net worth individuals. If you remember what I said earlier, They're not building these $12 million condos for me, but because the overall market baseline has shifted upward. It impacts everybody. You know, again, this has made home ownership increasingly unattainable for the average Caymanian, has completely widened the gap between local incomes and property prices.
And I
We've
think
seen it.
what you are actually describing is not that Caymanians are completely angry about growth, you know, caller. I think they're grieving about the disconnection, the not feeling of developing along with us so that we feel a part of it.
Well, I think that Caymanians are less. I mean, I saw, and I will not name the development, truthfully, I don't know where it was, but I saw on one of the local social media platforms, like a new development, and I honestly, and somebody said, "Oh, this is Cayman." I said, "Where is this?" I honestly thought it was somewhere in South Beach, or I never thought it was Cayman. And I keep saying, I gotta go see because this can't be Cayman. I gotta go see. And what I'm saying is, we're not. Well, let me speak for me, and I think for like-minded individuals, I don't think that we are so upset about the rate of development. I think that we are more upset about the ability to afford it, the attainability and the affordability. And again, goes back to what I was just saying. The more you create these luxurious and ultra luxurious development, it widens the gap farther and farther for not just low, middle and low income earners. And not only that, what we're actually seeing as well as what would have typically been, quote unquote, now air quoted, affordable land has now been snatched up by developers. I'm not cursing or criticizing the seller of that property. I'm just saying what would have been typically seen as affordable land is now off the market, grabbed up by large developers, again, who have the capacity, financial capacity to bring these, to buy these projects, and again, outprice Caymanians out of the market, you know. But we're talking about that, you know, rental markets have become higher. Higher property values translate to higher rent, simply because if my property value goes up, my insurance is going to go up.
Yes.
I'm going to pass that cost on. Many Caymanians are now forced to allocate much larger portions of their income to housing and everything that goes with it, and they're pushed farther away from central areas and kind of disrupting already, I would say, settled/established communities, and now almost like a gentrification situation, to be honest.
Because what is happening, we continue to evolve, we continue to develop, we understand the balance in active, balance in income, and making your people still feel as though they're a part of it. But when culture's bottom line just doesn't align, that's creating a bigger problem.
Well, here we go. Culturally, another unintended consequences is the gradual transformation of the island's identity.
Yep. And that's what we're fighting with. Yes.
So we're placing such a large emphasis on catering to global wealth. It has, in my opinion, led to the redevelopment of even traditional neighborhoods into exclusive silos and enclaves, or whatever you want to call them, that they don't necessarily reflect or even support our local way of life. You know, this result. Those things are specifically a result of loss of culture, heritage, a reduction in the cohesiveness of the proverbial community, and the growing perception that the islands are becoming even less accessible to Caymanians. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In just to, I guess, tie this all together, the 27 strategy, I personally believe, based on where the marketing, 2017, my apologies, where that marketing campaign was sort of marketed to, it was to attract ultra high net worth individuals. It delivered on what it intended to, the economic growth. They wanted increased investment.
But
again,
it
we got to
forgot.
plan for the
It priced out our
unintended
people.
consequences.
Mhm.
Correct. Particularly in housing affordability and the cultural displacement of Caymanians.
But how are you
It has
able to
created
do that
significant challenges.
and not see the possibilities of or putting in the necessary guardrails
Because we
to
don't have
protect under the
policies
planning?
aimed at
Yeah.
because we don't have policies aimed at balancing the
Yeah.
development
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
needs of
Yeah.
local residents. And that effect is going to continue to get deeper and wider, and it's going to further distance the average Caymanian from our culture,
Mhm.
from our heritage,
Mhm.
and more important, home ownership.
Yeah.
It's going to continue to widen the gap. You know, back in even 2017, where you were seeing a 2-bedroom for 300,000, people were like, "Whoa, what? Really?"
Mhm.
Now you're seeing a 1-bedroom for 429, and it's considered a steal.
Yeah. Yes. Can you imagine? Mhm.
A steal. I mean, I wouldn't call it development meme, but I'm just saying, when I think about it, and I would say, let me use, I don't know, some derogatory term, but that would be me saying I go and buy an apartment up by I don't know, Fallujah.
Mhm.
If you can think of like one of the worst areas, you'd be like, my God. So they built an apartment down in that slum, and they sell it for 400. And guess what? They're being sold. They're being sold.
Mhm.
They're
Mhm.
being sold, Sabrina.
Mhm.
And so again, without policies that are specifically aimed and targeted at balancing development with the needs of not just, remember now, all of these things should be done with the needs of the community in mind,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And who is the community? Who is the community? That has yet to be defined. When you say local residents or when you
Our
say local
stakeholders
or whatever,
or
or,
industry
or whatever,
stakeholders.
right? What
Yeah.
I'm saying is, we saw where, and I don't live in that neighborhood, so maybe they might say mind your own business, right? But think about they shouldn't call their name, but think about the development on Walker's Road heading towards Savannah on the right hand side if you're going towards south. Think about that development.
Mhm.
I would say that those were hard working for the most part. I think a lot of Caymanians in there, that development, who had worked hard, played hard, and were
Mhm.
able to support themselves. A nice little chateau, if you will, in a nice area of town. That community was ungated for decades.
Mhm.
You got houses in there that are 3-4 decades old.
Mhm.
One single-handed human.
Mhm.
I wouldn't want to say what I really want to say about him. Came to this country and decided unilaterally that he thought it would be best if we should make this so exclusive. We're going to put up gates and create this enclave.
Mhm.
And again, this is the cultural degradation of Cayman. This is a separation between us and them.
But it goes back to say that they were always, and just to be clear, where I live, the subdivision was always with the infrastructure, for example, for gates. But again, were we able to identify where we were headed at the hindsight is 2020, caller. And
If
even
I had
though,
no always come last, Sabrina.
you
If
see what I'm
I had
saying?
no
Exactly.
always come last.
Because we didn't
You understand?
identify them before, but they were always there in the making.
Sabrina, again, saying that we didn't identify it again is giving people a lot of grace.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
giving people a lot of grace,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I will jog people's memory back as far back as Vision 2008.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that?
Yep.
Vision 2008. My God, I thought by now that we would be driving around in flying cars. You understand? But Vision 2008, from my recollection, did not separate us from our culture,
No.
and it poised Caymanians to grow with this country. What we did with Vision 2008, what we did with it, shelved it and brought in something else. And Sabrina comes here with all of her money from God knows where, doing from God knows what, and she want to buy up half of Bordentown and a little bit of Frankstown, there's nothing to stop her. There's nothing to say, okay, Sabrina, you want to build 40 luxurious apartments, for every 40 that you build, you got to build 10 affordable houses. There's nothing. There's nothing, right? And again, I am fortunate, Sabrina. I'm speaking to you from my dining room table, okay? I consider myself one of the quote-unquote the lucky ones. I sit in a house. I got a yard.
Yeah.
I got an apartment. You understand? Not everybody have that thing. And listen, while I am appreciative and respectful of the fact that people are coming here from all walks of life and they want the Caymanian dream too, Sabrina, that has to be in some way, shape, or form reserved and protected in some way for Caymanians. First, why we always last? Why we always last? And why we always waiting for somebody to come and save us?
Yeah. Instead of us trying to help ourselves. Yeah.
I don't understand, Sabrina. I don't understand. Understand, right? That while we speak about all of these developers and developments and whatever, there's but a handful of very large-scale Caymanian developers, right? And I think we're very short-sighted and narrow-minded in our thinking, right? And what the Bible say? The love of money is the root of all evil. More often than not, we get that statement wrong and we say money is the root of all evil. And what the scripture says, is the love of money. The love of money is the root of all evil. And I think until we start to say, wow, my God, it hit us that we are displacing Caymanians, because that's what we're doing. That we're displacing Caymanians, not only from the property, not only from the home ownership market, but also from the rental market. From the rental market. As population increases, supply and demand goes down. Or the supply goes down, the demand increases. The apartment that you would have typically gotten, I think about some units close to me. When I moved into my home 15 years ago, those units were 2 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. They were going for $1,500, and that was expensive then. That was seen as you live in a good area.
I see a lot of people. Go ahead, finish.
Now I see a 1 bedroom in a not so good side of town in where I live, $2,300, and I'm saying, what? But guess what? By the time you call the agent for it, guess what? It's gone. It's gone, right? And we got to realize with the globalization that we've done to Cayman and the urbanization that we've done to Cayman, we have attracted people from all walks of life. You mentioned Morocco, a country of 37 million. They used to live
then in 2017.
We're used to, but you got to realize that we're attracting people from countries that overpopulation is not new to them. Being priced out of housing markets are not new to them. Inaffordability, inaccessibility is not new to them. Is not new to them. So for them to have to get on the totem pole and wait, and again, these people are coming here and getting access to opportunities that Caymanians will never see in their wildest dreams. So home ownership is materialized and realized for them a lot sooner because of the opportunities that are available to them that simply are not available to Caymanians. Now, I have my own opinions on why those opportunities are not available to Caymanians, but I'll leave that for another day. But again, it's a ripple effect. It's a ripple effect. And you talk about unintended consequences.
I wanted to share, because you brought up the Vision 2008, and that has come up a number of times here. And thanks to my assistant here, Mr. Google, it says Vision 2008 was the Cayman Islands' first major attempt at long-term people-driven national development plan. It was created between 1998 and 1999 and intended to guide the country through 1999 to 2008. It was built on exclusive public consultation, community participation, and shared desire to shape Cayman's future with intention rather than reaction. Now, what was interesting, what we actually what came up with this search is that what Vision 2008 aimed to have achieved: environmental protection, listen to this, social development, economic development, governance, and community. And then it broke it down under environmental protection: protecting the central mangrove wetland, establishing environmentally protected areas, strengthening coastal zone management, creating an environmental trust fund. And then social development side, it said strengthening support systems for children, youth, and the elderly, improving education to help every person reach their potential, and establishing a national youth policy. Under economic development, encouraging diversification beyond tourism and finance, supporting IT-driven business growth, and creating long-term growth management. And under governance and community, promoting transparency, encouraging community participation, and building a shared national identity. Now, hear what number 4 says. What happened to Vision 2008? Although the plan was completed and widely supported, it was never fully implemented. And the reasons why not is that no legislation to anchor the plan was ever established, shifting political priorities, lack of long-term continuity, limited institutional follow-through, and many of these ideas remain relevant today, but they're never excluded at the scale of envisioned, right? And when you look at that, my friend, that says a lot that we had this from then, because look, it took a massive community effort to do this, because what this research pulled out is that
but then Sabrina, forget about the amount of time that it took to get it done. We just shelved it. I was a kid.
Yeah.
I was in primary school when Vision 2008. And let me remind you, I remember I get goosebumps talking about it. I remember the logo, because let me tell you something. And I said, can you imagine when we get to 2008? I'm going to be out of high school. I'm going to be out of high school. I'm going to be out of university. Oh my God. Like, I just can't imagine.
Yeah.
And to be here in 2025, and my people are worse off now than they were back in 1999. We have a problem, Sabrina. We have a problem.
It said, look, Vision 2008 was one of the most participatory planning process in the Cayman Islands history. Began with island-wide district meetings in all 3 islands, included interviews, focus groups, and public polling. A 30-member planning team representing the community was appointed. 16 round tables were formed, each focused on national priority. Over 250 people worked for months to produce 230 action plans. Yes. Can you imagine? But yet there was never anything planned to anchor it.
It's almost 20 years since 2008. It's almost 20 years since Vision 2008. And nobody speaks of it as if it didn't exist. It just passed us like a ship in the night. And it was kind of like, well, we're moving in this direction. The country is moving ahead without Caymanian, Sabrina. Without Caymanian. I'm sorry, this artificial growth in every sector is just that. It's just that, artificial growth. And at the end of the day, how can you say that you have succeeded as a country, as a nation, when your own people go leave their country to go to somebody else's country so that they can live?
We're hearing
but
that
you
up
got
to
people
today.
Moving,
yes.
You got people moving here, hand over fist, from developing countries. Well, they say we can't say third world no more. You got people here moving from developing countries and can somehow make it, and miss me with the argument about Caymanians are lazy and that we don't want to do this and that we don't want to do that. That's crap. That's crap. That's not true. That's not true. And they know that Caymanians are systemically being kept out of, pushed out of, and not being given opportunities in a lot of regard. In a lot of regard. I'm not saying that we're perfect and we completely blameless. That's not what I'm suggesting. But what I'm suggesting is that in a lot of instances, Sabrina, we are being willfully kept out, pushed out, and made to be disenfranchised. When you have to leave your house to go catch up in somebody else's house, how can you say that you have a successful household? How can you clean success? I don't understand. question, up till now, who are we developing for? Because I'm sorry, Sabrina that just moved here from Morocco with her 4 wives, 10 children, 99 house staff, and got $1 billion in the bank. I really don't care. I really don't care because Sabrina, guess what? When Sabrina come here with her 10 au pairs, that don't help my local economy because she ain't hired no Caymanian.
Exactly.
She never hired no Caymanian to carry out none of them functions, and she outsourcing all of her work to Pakistan and India and the Philippines anyway. So how is that helping my local economy? All that person did was further disenfranchise a Caymanian from home ownership in their own country. I am sorry. That is unacceptable.
Well, my love, we got
That is
a comment
unacceptable.
here for you. Many properties are placed directly in a rental pool. And Tartarian says, caller, you are right. You are right. You don't understand. You overstand. It's the lay Caymanians that stand under. When will they come from under the table? And Jim says, I wish more Caymanians were just as passionate as this caller and make their voices heard. Also, Tartarian says, I was doing research to get a job on the cruise ship. And when I found out how they treat workers, I declined. A friend worked in Dubai and he said he felt like a slave. Tartarian, you're on the right track. But listen to this, my love. In the Google search of 2008, the question came up and the answer to it as well. Why Vision 2008 still matters today? Listen to this. Vision 2008 is important because it shows that Caymanians did articulate a long-term vision for sustainable development. The community wanted balance, growth, environmental protection, and cultural preservation. Many of the challenges we face today, rapid development, cultural erosion, environmental pressures, were already identified over 25 years ago. The absence of implementation created a gap between what Caymanians hoped for and what actually unfolded. In other words, Vision 2008 predicted many of these issues Caymanians are now experiencing. Caller, doesn't that sound exactly like what you have said in a nutshell?
Yeah. I mean, again, I think personally that Vision 2008, and I've read Vision 2008 cover to cover. I am so passionate about Vision 2008. Let me tell you, I'm going to be a part of Vision 2008. I'm going to be a part of it. I remember the launch at Paget Beach. I remember. Okay? It was one of the most ambitious national development plans for Cayman. It was, can you imagine one plan that was specifically and strategically aimed at balancing economic growth with environmental protection, the quality of life for Caymanians? It was the social stability. But just think about getting all of those things that are so critical to the fundamental infrastructure for Caymanians, right? Under one umbrella, one ambit, with so many people. Just imagine it was the single most participated in.
Yes.
I mean, public participation.
Correct.
Document. People actually went out and said, this is what we need. Caymanians went out and said, look, this is what we need. This is what we need. And you know why it failed? No political will. Full stop. Forget about it being not having any entrenchment in legislation or no entrenching legislation or whatever.
Well, it's your politicians would have had to do that, yes, if there was political will.
But this is it, a lack of political will and a lack of political continuity. Nobody didn't want to say, they didn't want to say, but that was Sabrina planning. Hell, if I carry it forward, she might get no more. We gotta stop that.
The mere fact that it was in history the most participated effort representing all of your people, it shouldn't matter which administrative continuity.
It brought together every single concern that we had that would have addressed a lot of issues that we're struggling with now.
Today.
We're not talking about people killing little baby fish on the reef. That was in there. We're not talking about balancing so that we could diversify the economy away from banking and tourism. We don't call it banking no more. What we call it, financial services. Have we paid attention? A lot of these shops are being purchased by large private equity firms and are packing up shops and taking it to other jurisdictions, outsourcing the business. There's not even a huge requirement or push for those things to remain in the island. Okay?
Yeah.
There's not even a huge push for that thing. You know, this was one of the only plans that was focused on strategically improving the quality of life for Caymanians. You heard what I just said?
Yeah.
The
Strategically
quality of life
and
for
strategic.
Caymanians.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying?
I
There
get
was
it.
thought that went into how we are going to organically grow this country so that Caymanians were not put on the back burner, so that our quality of life would not be less.
Correct.
How is it in 2026 we worse off than 1999? How is it that home ownership back then seemed like a possibility with less money than you are in 2026 with more money? How so, Sabrina? Again, it failed. Long-term national plans require consistent support across changing
You keep building on
administration.
it, even if administration to administration priorities
No,
come
but this
differently.
what keep telling
This
you
is
now.
the framework of
But
our
this what
trajectory.
yeah, but you got a government that would put down a pedestrian crossing, in front of the government house, but because that was put down by Sabrina party, the next party come dig it up because that was her party. And hell, if we got to go along with that,
Miss the forest for
you
the
understand
trees.
what I'm saying?
I get what you say.
Just think, no national consistent support.
Andrew had a question.
They abandoned complete key initiatives. Complete abandonment. Just
True.
throw your hand up in the air.
It's true. Andrew has a question, and I can answer you, Andrew, because I pulled it up and you missed it, but I can break it down. Andrew's question, caller, was the major ground transportation plan also a part of that? Yes, it was. It came under the infrastructure and development part. And guess what was very interesting, Andrew, because it actually forms a part right now. It says back even in 1998 and 99, the community consultation showed that traffic was increasing faster than road capacity. Commuting patterns were becoming unsustainable. Growth was outpacing infrastructure planning. And Vision 2008 warned that without long-term planning, Cayman would face major congestion issues, which is exactly what we're experiencing today.
Listen.
Oh my God.
One of the primary reasons, like I said, that Vision 2008 failed was a lack of sustained political continuity and commitment. Because we're terrible at following through. We're terrible. Okay? Long-term plans. You hear everybody talking about their 5-year plan, their 10-year plan. Long-term national plans, because that's what this was. It requires a consistent approach, even across changing administration. We saw that when, I believe it was the progressive government, just before they were leaving out, they gave themselves a salary raise. I bet you no administration that came behind them said, you know what, that wasn't a good idea. Let's put it back down. I bet you they didn't do that.
True.
They didn't do that. Again, shifts in political priorities lead to an uneven implementation, and in some cases, like I said, abandonment of key initiatives. Vision 2008 being a prime example, with no accountability mechanism or clear enforcement. A lot of the plan's objectives remain, what they say, what my dad always talk about, promising young men. They remain aspirational. Nothing you can action, just aspiration. But another contributing factor was the insufficient integration, meaning the pull together, the taking of the hands, the whatever you want to call it, between policy and execution. We good at creating policy. Almighty. We got more laws and we got more clause and laws and execution. We're terrible at execution. Vision 2008 had a broad outline, like I told you, sustainable development, affordable housing, cultural preservation,
Yeah.
It felt unlimited,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But again, rapid economic growth, particularly for tourism and finance, these things took precedence.
Mm-hmm.
And then the environment and the social development fell by the wayside. The safeguards that you had planned or envisioned for within Vision 2008, they fell by the wayside. Those are the two critical components
Mm-hmm.
and were safeguards to protect Caymanians.
Yeah.
I mean, our social and environmental, look at the social impact
You
that
remember coastal
that,
protection and all this sort of stuff? This was talked about from
that it
19.
has had.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, when you got other people's money in from other countries up in your playpen,
Mm-hmm.
guess what? You sometimes have to cave to global pressure and economic pressure.
Yep.
You got a global, and let's not forget the big meltdown of 2008,
Mm-hmm.
the big recession
Mm-hmm.
of 2008. Now, I could be here all day telling you how I really feel about that, but then, you got to consider the global fluctuations, the
And
financial
impacts that it
fluctuations.
has on
right?
us. Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
And from a jurisdiction of this size, just think about the pressure that was placed on Cayman to prioritize
Mm-hmm.
short-term economic gains and goals
Mm-hmm.
for people who were not even Caymanian.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we had to ponder and cater to encourage, whatever word you want to call it, to large foreign investors, high-end development, even in the face of the blatant confliction between the long-term balance
Mm-hmm.
that was being sought in Vision 2008 to what we ended up with.
Today.
It spoke about population growth. We didn't address that.
Yeah.
So therefore, we fell short on the infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
The islands grew. We obviously saw issues again with traffic,
Mm-hmm.
environmental degradation, housing affordability. I will not stop speaking about housing.
Mm-hmm.
Again, all of this was outlined, targeted, and managed in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And here we are, 25
I
years
will,
later, still
I will
talking
say
about
though,
it.
I'm still hopeful. I'm still hopeful that despite all of the short, I'm hopeful, Sabrina. What
Right.
else you got?
You
don't have
gotta
to,
have hope. You
you
have
know?
to have hope. Yeah.
And despite everything that it fell short, revisiting, revitalizing, maybe there can be a Vision 2028. We're not far from it.
But do we
it's
have to
so
reinvent
critical
the
to
wheel?
who.
Understanding this was
No,
back then,
but
but it
that's
never,
part of
because
the
a lot
problem.
of
That's
these
part of the
things,
problem. That's what.
right? Mm-hmm.
But that's why I just told you we got to dig up that pedestrian crossing, no matter how good it served us, because Sabrina government built that, and hell, we not using it. Look here, call it Strategy 2020. I don't care what you call it. I don't care what you call it. And you go back, we paid for it.
Yeah.
Paid for it, Sabrina.
Yeah.
Go back to it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't understand how all of these, the rising cost of real estate, the rising cost of real estate, the increase in the population, how that trickles down to the average cost of living in this country. We live in a supply and demand country.
Mm-hmm.
When are we going to understand that? I just personally think, let me just close in saying, if we were to re-engage Vision 2008, I'm going to call it Strategy 2028.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe it'll change. I'll talk to my daughter. I'm sure she'll come up with a snazzy name, because we like snazzy names. Now, if they don't have a cute name, it ain't going nowhere.
Okay.
Well, Vision 2008, I believe, I stand corrected, I believe was the then brainchild of the then, I think he was called Leader of Government Business, Honorable McKeever Bush.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I recall, it was his strategy and his government, so to speak. If I'm wrong, I stand corrected.
Mm-hmm.
I remember him presenting it, so I'm calling it his.
Mm-hmm.
We could get a modernized version of it that could provide for more sustainable development, more balanced development. I don't think that we lost, Sabrina. We could start to reconsider to ensure that growth is not disproportionate. and only benefiting outside people at the expense of Caymanians, because that's what's happening right now. We need to start creating more a strategy that creates more accountability, aligning the processes and making sure that they get executed. Political continuity, political commitment. We move toward a more sustainable, inclusive future. If not, we're going to hell in a handbasket.
Well, I pulled it up very quickly here because I like to think, and again, not all the time we can double check this, but I can go deeper into this. According to Uncle Google, or my AI assistant here, Vision 2008 began in 1998 during the administration led by the Honorable Truman Bodden, leader of government business.
There you go.
Was the political head of government and the one who authorized and supported the creation of the long-term national strategic plan. Now, this Vision 2008 included, of course, Executive Council, the cabinet, that's what it was called. And interesting, while Ms. Joy Basdeo was the executive director and the operational architect of Vision 2008, Mr. Truman Bodden was the political leader under whom the plan was launched. Yes.
I have the utmost respect for Mr. Truman Bodden. That man was a visionary. And you want me to tell you something? You want to hear something? I got to blow your socks off. Truman Bodden is not dead. He's not dead. He's not dead.
Can you imagine? Yeah. I got
He's
you.
not dead. Sharp as a tack. He's not dead. You understand? And we got to wait until these people pass on to talk about if I had known. If I had known. Miss Joy,
she's still
all
with
things
us.
Caymanian.
Yeah.
All things Caymanian and
Correct.
cultural ambassador. All things Caymanian. She's still here. She's still here. We won't wait until all two of them die to get talked about. Oh, if I had known.
Yeah,
if I
it's
had
true.
known.
Jim says it
You
well.
understand?
This show needs to be continued because of the information that we're unearthing today. And
I think of these unanswered stories. I'm so sick of Caymanians being put on the back burner. I'm sick of having to get people registered to vote every half crack. I'm registering people for the next election, and I'm guaranteeing them. I'm promising them something better. They're just looking at my face like, yeah, all right, yeah, all right.
Oh
But
my
you
gosh.
say so. Then you got people that say, who even come to ask me about voting? If there's a way for me to get off the voters list, can you help me?
Oh my God, that is so profound because I'm hearing that more and more. More and more. They're like, don't even knock on my door. I don't care who it is.
I know of a man who not only requested a candidate to run, was his nominator. His nominator.
Gotcha.
Okay? And I stood and heard that man say, if I had knew what I know now, I would have never supported him.
Oh my God.
I just sat back and I listened. I say, see, if I had known, always come last. Leopard don't change his spot. Leopards don't change their spot. And some people will play the game as long as they need to get what they want. Then when they get what they want, they give you a swift kick in your behind. And everything that they said that they were going to do, all of a sudden becomes lost. It becomes a case of amnesia. But they remember 6 months before the next election. And we have a serious case of amnesia too, because we somehow believe them. We somehow believe them.
Well, I think I heard something even though it was U.S. politics, they're saying like, the average voter doesn't remember anything prior to, but 6 months to an election, you can tell them anything and like everything that happened prior, they forget.
Which is why we have such a, so, in a lot of countries, you have people, stepping out a year ahead. In Cayman, you got people coming out the week before.
And they get successful. Yeah. You got them that don't even have meetings. They don't have meetings. They don't necessarily, they can send a surrogate to your door. And guess what? They get elected. They send surrogates.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And then you got some that out there beating their drum. And the day they get elected, their constituents can't get a hold of them. They can take 5, 6, 7, 10 months before they get an MP office. Despite the fact that they've got paid staff on the books, they're collecting money for an office They take months to get one. Well, who's holding them accountable? This is the foolishness I talk about, Sabrina.
Yeah.
This is the foolishness. But again, here they coming again. Don't worry, they soon come. They soon coming. It's soon coming. God bless her.
Oh,
My
God.
grandmother, my dear grandmother, is gone to her grave. It'll be just over almost 2 months, 3 months. And my grandma say, I wish they would come and got something for them, a bucket or you know what.
Not
You
right,
understand?
too.
And we shouldn't.
Overnight.
You hear what I tell you? But imagine that we should get to such a place
Yeah.
in a small
Like this.
voting populace like Cayman that, you know, we where your MP is Sabrina's son. Oh, he's Sabrina boy, you know. And he prancing around like his, you know what, can make cake. I am done. I cannot stand it.
We love
I
you.
cannot stand
We
it.
love you. And people are saying they need your voice, exclamation point. And people are advocating that we continue this show. And I think what I'm getting from this comment is that probably, caller, we need to dissect this Vision 2008 because it is very much relevant. And what could we look like?
We are calling it something else. We're going to
There
call it
was some
something
Miss
else. because-
Andrea Ebank says, oh, yes, sorry. Miss Anita Ebank says, I was involved with that Vision 2008 plan. Can you imagine how
Yes,
different the
she
Cayman
was.
Islands would be total if today, if even a small percentage had been completed? Anita, I didn't want to
stand
not do
corrected,
that,
right?
but thank you. Yeah.
But I think Miss Anita from West, right?
Yes.
I think she's from West.
Yes.
Yeah, I know her.
Yeah, she worked on that. I
Miss
remember
Anita,
seeing the
we can get
tabloids.
Miss Anita. Miss Anita, I remember putting on my school uniform and my good church shoes. So it angers me deeply, and it's very vexing to me. It's very vexing to me to see how far we strayed.
Yeah.
To see how far we strayed. When I talk to my daughter, who was only born 2 years after Vision 2008, and I tell her about this great plan that we had and how great Cayman was going to be, and she look at me and say, well, what happened? Well, what happened? My daughter is 16 years old. She'll be voting, God's willing, in the next election. And I'm telling you, the passes that we've been giving MPs before, this breed is a different breed, Sabrina.
Yep.
This one is a different breed. Their expectations are different. When they can't come back from university because there is no job for the job that the government sent them off with a scholarship to do, this is not going to be acceptable, Sabrina. I don't understand. When are we going to change it? You have parents trying to secure property. I'll give you an example. I saw a friend of mine who is pregnant but about to have her baby. And she said, when was it that you put your children on a list for school again? I looked at her and I said, who you want to put on the list? She said, girl, they told us that 3 months we should get them on the list. I said, you got to be kidding. You got to be kidding me. Again, unintended consequences.
Yeah.
Unintended consequences. I don't know what we're doing, Sabrina, but Miss Anita, we can work on that. We can work on that Vision 2008.
I'm going to continue. I think it's worth it.
We got to do something about this.
Yeah, the
We got
more,
to do something
maybe
about
the
this.
time is
We
now.
are on a runaway.
Yeah, the
We are
time
on a
is
runaway
now.
train to nowhere.
Correct.
To nowhere. And guess what? People, if you do not have your own plan, somebody will pay you to build theirs. And that's what we've been doing. I think I don't mean to offend anybody, but if you don't have your own plan set out, somebody will pay you to build theirs. And we are the architecture. We are the architects of other people's goals and dreams and visions. How can this country be as successful as it is for everybody? People coming from developing countries, people who come here as waitresses and waiters, and now they're billionaires.
Yeah.
People have come here as, and I'm not disparaging any particular nationality. I'm not disparaging any particular profession. I'm not saying that. I believe in life that you get what you have the courage to ask for. And I genuinely believe that, and I say that to my children again. But opportunities are not created equally. They're not. They're not created equally. And I think that we can all agree that sometimes Caymanians just don't get a fair shake at this thing.
Yep.
We just don't. We just don't. And how do we change that?
Well, my friend, we
Vision
have reached the top of the
2008.
hour. We're going to go into this deep dive tomorrow. And
I'll
I'm
leave
going
you
to,
there.
yes, we're going to dedicate
Well,
the entire show to it.
I'm going to send you my notes from Vision 2008
You
because,
do.
boy,
Please
do I
do.
got some plans.
You know, man, share it with me. So I'm setting the tone from now. If you really, really enjoyed what we shared here this evening, I'll do a deep dive into this tomorrow, into this Vision 2008, and because it's still relevant to today. And I feel it's warranted. Maybe now's the time. People are ready to listen, understand. Hindsight is 2020. But if we had this roadmap from back then that is still relevant today, and so much things have come to reality, hey, why not dissect it tomorrow? So, caller, I want to thank you so much as usual for participating. Thank you for your contribution. And definitely, we invite you back on tomorrow. Who to tell? Maybe I can send you a link. You want to join on? I don't know. It's up to you.
Sure.
Message me and let me know.
We'll see.
So that we can keep the lines open. I'll invite you in the virtual studio if that's okay for you. I'll invite you on.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Okay.
Good.
We'll
Thank
be in
you, my
touch.
love.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Bye-bye.
There you have it. We've come to the end of another episode of Sabrina Speaks that definitely took it into a direction that we feel is more than warranted, that has borne tomorrow's discussion as we look at Vision 2008, then versus now. And I want to thank you all for your participation, for your feedbacks, for your comments. And yes, I've invited that caller back to join me so that we can free up the lines and we can have her on as well. So I'll have a tomorrow with me as we delve into this Vision 2008, her passion, her pride. I see it coming out here with all the comments. It speaks volumes of exactly where we're going. And as we continue to learn, respect, and grow in this space, it has been my pleasure. Thank you all for your contributions, to your continued support. Please remember to share the link, and I will promote from tonight tomorrow's episode so you will not miss an episode. And I'm looking forward to diving into this very informative, thought-provoking topic with you tomorrow as we continue to learn more about where we're coming from, where we're headed, what you want, just making head and light out of everything. Please do have a good evening. Be safe on our roads, and love you lots. God bless. Have a good night. See you tomorrow.
That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, Cayman, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.